Good morning and welcome back to Coffee with Toffees on this October the 22nd. Halloween draws near, and that means that soon we get to go back to our later in the morning shows. But for now, we are still coming to at you straight up from the 7 a.m. Period over on the Eastern Time Zone. For those of you watching on the recordings, because it was just too gosh darn early to catch the live, I appreciate you sticking with us. You can follow me, of course, at Toffees_Dota2 over on Twitter. You can support the show and keep the sponsors out at patreon.com/Toffees. That's patreon.com/Toffees. We're about $20 away from releasing the new shirt design. So the more support we get, the more cool swag you can have, and that's always pretty awesome. And obviously those shirts we made available to people who support the show, as well as just straight purchase. Now we have a chat room that we just opened up over on Steam. You can jump into that. It is Coffee with Toffees, the W/ instead of the word with, and that gets you in contact with myself, the producer, and other fans of the show. And then of course, if you like what you hear, follow me anywhere that you follow, anywhere that you favorite. Helps us get recognition for the show, helps it grow, and to be honest with you, it maybe takes me to TI5. So all things that we would love nothing more than to do. But let's get into the news. Starting out with the pro news. The first piece that's up is that Mag is leaving Team Empire. Team Empire, I don't think, has been playing up to their fullest potential in the months previous to this change. Mag has stepped down. He released a statement that said he enjoyed being part of the team, but I quote, "I have problems that I need to solve and it will require some time." So stepping in will be Yoki. Now that's not a big surprise. He's actually been playing with them as a stand-in for a couple of weeks now, and to be completely honest, I feel like Empire has been a different team. Mag is a great player. I take nothing away from him, but the fact of the matter is that I don't think the synergy was right for Empire, and they have been performing better in games over the last 2 weeks than they were previously. So whatever inspired this change, for whatever reason, I think it was the right choice, and props to Empire, props to Mag for knowing that potentially and stepping down. I hope to see Yoki do well because I enjoy Empire. I like their style of play. I think that they're fun to watch, very frenetic, and I think this change is going to be really good for them. The second piece of pro news is that Team Tinker has a Cyber Matt put on his Twitter page yesterday that Team Tinker will be running a new flag at Starladder. That flag is the overcoated spy, so not a huge difference. It's a little more secretive looking, a bit cooler. I like it. It does tell me that it might be a little while till we see the reveal on whether or not they have a sponsor, if they have a sponsor, or if it's just a rich benefactor. So something to keep in mind. That new symbol will be coming out at Starladder, which premieres this week. Next piece of pro news, and it's not technically pro news, but it is pro related, as they are pro cashers and pro hosts. Dota 2 Bucharest Masters has announced the cast that they're bringing out for the performance, or for the show, the LAN final. It's going to be Toby, Juan, and fucking Mad going to be doing the casting. So Sebastian and Toby will be out there doing play-by-play and color. Going to be a really great team. I like the combination, of course, of a play-by-play shoutcaster and, of course, a experienced pro. The other one is going to be Shiver, who is a friend of the show and was invited to host and do interviews. So it sounds like a great team. It sounds like they're going to have a lot of fun. I always like to see Shivar getting work, because I know that she works very, very hard in this business to try and get that recognition. So congratulations to her. Congratulations to Toby. And Seven King Mad, as Red Eye put it during the ESL, as they have a busy couple of weeks ahead of them, because I know that I believe Shivar will be at Starladder. Toby has a couple other tournaments coming up, but DreamHack Bucharest should be fun, even though they're having all kinds of issues in terms of who is playing what, which brings us to our tournament news for the day. It is Dream League, and it is another scandal, and what we're talking about right now is how Team Malaysia dropped out. And what we ended up seeing is that Team Rave got an invite to fill in. Now, Team Rave is an SEA team. The problem we have is this. So basically, here's what happened. The final open qualifiers from Dream League were MVP Phoenix, first place. Second place, NVIDIA Aces. Third place, Can't Say Whips. And fourth place, Arrow Gaming. All right, those are the top 4 positions. Top 2 were to advance to the actual league. So MVP Phoenix goes through, and NVIDIA Aces says that they cannot do the tournament after Team Malaysia drops out. So Team Malaysia drops out, they obviously go to the second place team. NVIDIA Ace says they cannot do it. They, for some reason, miss Can't Say Whips and look at Arrow Gaming, but Arrow Gaming recently disgraced without a roster, can't do it as well. And they move down the line until they come to Rave. And a lot of folks are angry because Can't Say Whips qualified in third place. They would be the most logical replacement for this tournament based on the qualifiers. So why is it, and I think that this is something that Dream League's organizers are going to have to answer, why is it that the third place qualifier team from Australia, so the same region but a different cultural background, is not brought in and Rave is? And I'm not really sure how they're going to answer that one. It's going to be a tough one, but it is something that I think needs to be brought up. Gods did tweet about it right after it happened. He was pretty frustrated for obvious reasons, him being from the same region as CSW. And it really is a big question of why weren't they brought in? So that's your big piece of dramatic news that'll probably be addressed on Reddit over the next couple of days. But at this point, Dream League's, and I should say Dream League, not DreamHack Bucharest, but Dream League's season has just been riddled with wormholes of issues in corruption and mismanagement. And whether or not they're true, it just makes them look bad. And something like this, where they're bypassing teams that deserve an invite for another team, just shows even more of this sort of what's happening and a need for public transparency in this tournament. And I'm not talking down about it. I love the tournament. I love the season. I really love watching DreamHack. But at the end of the day, you got to answer the questions. You got to make the fans feel like they're connected. And right now, I feel like Dream League just is not doing that. But that's enough of that. Let's move to the next piece of news. D2CL. The final qualifiers are in. Team Tinker has edged out Power Rangers and will be joining Empire, SNA, and Na'Vi in the LAN final, playing for their share of $75,000. So look for that. It's going to be a great final. Tinker had a good win. It wasn't... Joey Dota calls it an edge out. I don't think it was a total edge out. I think Secret had fair control during much of the series. That said, though, it was a good fight. And like we said, Team Tinker comes in, does a really good job, and is going to look good. I think they've got some great people to go against. So Empire qualified, SNA, and Na'Vi. SNA, honestly, in my opinion, is in a position to win this. This could be their first major first place finish. Na'Vi is good, but they've been iffy from shaky lately. Team Empire just switched up their roster. They're going to be coming in with a totally new player in the form of Yoki, and yes, they've looked better, but it's still a new player. And on top of that, Team Tinker has been a little bit rough around the edges, and SNA has beaten teams like Power Rangers consistently. So SNA looking like this could be the big breakthrough for them, and I am honestly very excited to see that. Last piece of tournament news so first we want to tell you this. The summit is Europe. The Europe stages have hit about halfway through. We're going to do a full wrap-up of the summit on Friday. But what you need to know right now is that Tinker, Power Rangers, and Secret look good, like really good, which is fun to me because we just talked about how Tinker edged out PR. So if you look at it in that context, these teams are are on the top of their game in Europe right now, so D2CL will be really nice. But it also means that SNA, who's gone up against some of these teams in the past and done very well, is really growing as a team as well. Their roster changes, I think, set them back a little bit, but they have been on fire lately, and look forward to seeing that. So we'll give you the big roundup on the summit on Friday morning. And finally, last but not least, in the tournament news, the Star Ladder starts today. About 18 hours from now, Star Ladder will kick off, boys and girls, and it is going to be fun. I've got the group stages up for you. It's going to be a round robin between Team Tinker, Alliance, EG, and Cloud9. Round robin in the Group B stages will be Secret, Na'Vi, Excretion, and Virtus Pro. So obviously, I think all of us are going to have eyes on Group A, but really my picks coming out of Group A are probably going to be EG and Cloud9. No offense, Alliance, you guys have been playing very, very well. That said, we know you're using a stand-in because Chessie is hurt. And EG and Cloud9, EG is what they are. They're one of the best teams in the world right now, and Cloud9 they have to have a lust to just beat EG in a major and come out on top. And that's what I mean, I love EG. I'm a North American fan, so obviously I hope that they do well in this tournament. I'm not going to lie to you guys about that. But also, I would love nothing more than to see the Cloud9 second place curse broken. But they're going to have their hands full because on the opposite side of the round robin groups, coming through a group that should cause no problem for them whatsoever, is Team Top Secret. These guys have been crazy good, mowing down opponents start to finish and playing drafts and picks and ways that we never expect. And that's what I love about them. And they're going to be going through a group stage that's not going to be as challenging as it will be for EG and Cloud9. Both of those two, EG and Cloud9, could easily be knocked out by their opponents in the round robin, whereas I feel like Secret's going to feel pretty safe about being in the top two in terms of qualification. So that's how that'll run out, and that is your tournament news. That is also your pro news. And now we have an interview, guys. I sat down with the boys of Infinity Plus 4. They are a brand new Dota 2 team. They're made up of a lot of really great players. SNA, Narock's the manager. We've got MJW, Infinity. I mean, the list goes on. And they're a team that's going to be competitive right out of the gate. They've been stand-ins for a lot of the major teams around the league and are constantly there. C9 won the September against EG. I'll double check that, Mano. So at the end of the day, I think that they're going to be a really strong team moving forward, and we asked them to come onto the show and talk about what it's like to start a team, especially in a competitive format. So we did the recording ahead of time. It was recorded Monday night. So what I'm going to do is switch over to that, guys, so I can still type in chat. I'll be here, but the video that you are seeing was recorded Monday evening, just because the guys from the team could not be here this early in the morning. So we're going to switch over to that scene and get you guys started on Infinity Plus 4. So bear with me. Here we go. Infinity stack were nice enough to come out and give me some time from their busy schedule to sit down and talk a little bit about their new team and what they've got going on. So without further ado, let me introduce you to the guys sitting in the studio with me tonight. I am joined by SNA. How are you doing tonight, bud?
Doing good. How are you?
I can't complain. I'm here with some badass players, so that makes my night 100 times better. The second man on the team, MJW. How are you doing tonight, sir?
Doing great.
And then I am joined by two managers. This is the only team that is going to be so big that they have to have two managers. The first one is Narock. You've probably heard his name on the NA Dota scene, in the NEL, bouncing around, having a good time. He is the scheduling manager. How are you doing tonight, Narock?
What's up? I'm doing good.
Excellent. And last but certainly not least, the man jumping in on the back end is Nash, who I am told is the kingpin, the master manager. I don't know if Narock and him are going to get into a grudge match at some point and figure out who's the bigger baller, but how are you doing tonight, Nash?
I'm doing good.
Awesome. So, I want to point out first and foremost that you guys all have very similar voices for the most part, so this should be fairly entertaining to keep it all straight. Alright, so let's start out with some basic information. The roster never really got officially announced in an overall context. Yes, we've seen you guys playing in the Summit 2, which we'll talk about a little bit later on, but let's make it official. Someone tell me who is the official roster for Infinity Plus 4. I think I can guess one, but I need to know the other guys.
Oh yeah, it starts with Infinity.
Where is Infinity right now?
Sna, MJW, and Lust.
So, Infinity, Sna, SN, Lust, and MJW. Is that what you said?
Yep.
Excellent. I don't know where Infinity is right now. I assume that he's doing something between here and beyond, but you know, it's hard to tell.
He's a very busy person.
He is. Well, you know, when you have a name like Infinity, you can't really ever stop. So, where is? I'm curious this. So, where is everybody from in terms of region?
I'm from Wisconsin.
Okay.
I'm from New York.
I'm from Las Vegas.
And I'm from Indianapolis.
Oh, nice. Indianapolis. That's actually, I lived there for a very long time, so we have something in common. We'll get drinks one day when I go back for Christmas. That'll be a good time. So all of you Indianapolis fans, hit me up on Twitter. We'll set up a drinking date with at least one person from Infinity. Maybe we'll get the rest of the team on a visit. So that's the official roster announcement, guys. It's out there. It's official. They are a team. That makes them legit. We also know where they're from, so now they're human, which means that it is the real deal. So what I wanted to go over real quick is I wanted to start out with with SNA and MJW. SNA, give me a little bit of an insight into your team history. We know that you've played with some big teams before to work your way up to this point and getting your own thing started. What is your team history?
I stopped playing with everybody. I know SN for a long time and everybody else like a year, and then we start forming a team together. Like people asking me to like trying to play a tournament, and then I play it, and then they thought that we're pretty good, so we're like trying to be a team and start playing.
All right.
Yeah.
And what teams did you play with before you got involved with Infinity?
It was Sneaky Nick's Assassins.
Okay.
Then after that, I was like playing pubs and stuff, and I got asked by Lust to play like a tournament that's called We Play.
Okay.
And then everybody start playing together. Yeah. And then we like each other, and then, yep, that's about it.
And then love blossomed into Infinity. MJW, what about you? What's your sort of previous team play experience, or is this the first one for you?
This is my first team. I usually ring for teams, but
Okay.
this is my official one.
Excellent. So you've got a team that has a fair amount of ringers, names that we've seen around the scene for a long time. I mean, you're building this thing from the ground up. I gotta say, first off, I admire that. Now, is it completely from the ground up, or it's not that you guys sort of ran into each other? Have you been playing together for a long time in the past, or is this just sort of developed over the last couple of months?
I have played with Frankie and Yas for about 4 to 6 years,
Okay.
but I just met SN and Sna. So we kind of built it up a couple months, and yeah, that's about it.
All right, so so everybody kind of gets together, starts to play together for a couple of months. Let me ask you that about the building of a new team. What was the biggest challenge that you ran into when putting together sort of this North American team?
I would say commitment, to see if everyone's ready to build a team, and to see if their parents are ready to agree with what we wanted to do.
All right, so
I would say like don't give up your dreams. Before I love Dota. I never want to give up. So I keep playing, and then when I start watching competitive, I start to like it, and then I start meeting people and playing leagues, and then I got into playing with the X mics.
Okay.
Just like Stick is dancing. So that's how it came from. Yeah.
So that's where you came out of. The challenge was sort of, so I imagine it's sort of finding a bunch of players in the same boat, and then, like you said, getting them together, saying, do you have the time commitment? Do your parents agree to support this? Because, you know, that's a tough thing, right? We talked to MSS on the show a couple of weeks back, and he said he literally had to run away from home in order to play competitively. So are you guys in a position where your family's being supportive, or when are you going to have to run away to make this thing work?
My mom is very supportive. She said as long as I go to school, it's fine, and if I can make some money out of playing video games, so she said like, oh, it's okay, just go for it. She doesn't really like very strict to me. She like kind of support me. What I want to do.
I think our biggest issue is if I remember Jason SN. He's like being 17 now, and then his parents don't really agree with what he's doing. So we like asked him to talk to his parents about like explaining the whole situation on what pro gaming means to him, and then what it could bring to him and his parents. So I think they understand now, but before it was kind of difficult because he wouldn't be able to play at night.
Right. So that's gotta be tough, especially when you're putting together something that's hoping to be a little long term. Now, did you guys have a hard time finding quality players in the positions that you needed to put together a team? Because you're exclusively, from what I understand, North American and Canadian. Was there enough of a player pool in those positions, or do you think that some of those spots are really starved, and you had to really work to get the team brought together?
Could you repeat that?
All right. So
Sorry.
my question is this, and there's been some talk about it, the underdevelopment maybe of support players in the North American scene, the idea that some teams or some groups just aren't getting developed because of the nature of NA Dota. Do you think that that's true, or do you think that, man, there's a big talent pool out there that you can really pull from when you create a team?
Yeah, I think right now it's very hard for you to make a team commit to it because everyone's really short-tempered, and then if you lose one tournament, people just want to be like, all right, this band is not working out. But for this group, I see they can fight out their differences. They know what they do wrong in the games, and then they fix them. And then 3 of them have been good friends for 4 to 6 years already. So can't really ruin a friendship over a single Dota game like that.
Right. So you tried to find people with attitudes that were a bit more temperate and could work together without the explosion. Now, I guess that's the real question, are there a plethora of position players? Are there a lot of players with that temperate attitude, or would you say that NA Dota in general is kind of a explosion waiting to happen on any given night?
I'd say just because I think people think NA Dota is more toxic than other regions, but I don't really see it that way. It's just we're more loud about it. I think there's a lot of good players that are hidden talents out there, but they don't really get the opportunity to shine because only the loudest people get to play.
Absolutely.
Yep. Like Nayrok, he's a hidden talent.
So that's an interesting point. So Nayrok is acting as a scheduling manager. Nayrok, do we expect to see you standing in for Infinity +4 when it's necessary? Are you sort of on board as the 6th man in addition to being the scheduling manager, or what's the deal with that?
Yeah, I've stood in before when people can't make certain times to scrims or practices. I'm there to just be the 6th man. I don't know. I guess I'm more comfortable for something that they know than just having someone else, someone random just play.
That makes perfect sense to me. So let's move on and talk a little bit about plans. The Summit, guys. The Summit 2 is your launch tournament. I'm not going to lie to you. To pick a tournament to launch your team with, that's a pretty good one. So congratulations on that, getting into that thing. Now, let me ask you this, though. Does that add pressure, or does it maybe make it less so, since you guys don't have huge expectations in terms of results from this tournament?
I think... Oh, go ahead.
I think the expectations are pretty high. I mean, I think they want to win the Summit.
Well, yeah.
Qualifiers. I think they expect to because, they know what they're capable of. So, in terms of pressure, I don't see it getting to anyone. I think everyone's ready to deal with, they're all very experienced players, so they're all ready to work through difficulties. And I think at the end of the day, they have a really good shot at, being at the LAN.
Absolutely. I agree with that. So I think that is very true. Now, I guess we can go back and we can look at the general perception, maybe, what the public is expecting out of your first showing in a large tournament. And you kind of have the benefit of going in against some big teams, and people say, well, if they don't win, it's their first tournament. Is that an excuse that you guys are planning on leaning on at all? But or is it just a balls to the walls, we're coming out of this thing on the top? Because so far it's been pretty good for you guys.
I absolutely don't think that's an excuse to go out and lose a game because, especially when you first start a team, you want to start strong so you can attract attention. And that's actually how Dota works, at least the pro scene. You have to get attention. And once you get recognized, it's a lot easier to get to other parts of the pro scene. So I think you absolutely want to start strong. And, you don't want to lose and just say, oh, well, we just started our team. We can afford to lose.
I respect that. So you guys have already played 3 games from what I understand. Is that correct in the Summit qualifiers so far?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think you're 2-1. Which teams have you beaten and who did you lose to?
We beat Root Gaming and Stay Free. We lost to Navi US.
Okay. So you lost to the team who's number 1 on the table right now. But for what it's worth, guys, those of you watching, at the moment, Infinity is actually tied for 3rd place in the Summit. So you're off to a pretty good start. You lost to the number 1 team, but you beat the number 2 team. So you're sitting in, I think, pretty good shape so far, and that's got to be exciting to have that strong of a start. Do you think that sets a good tone for the rest of the tournament?
I think we've had a good start so far. Of course, I think we should have beaten Navi US. There were definitely some mistakes made in that game, some miscommunications, and after every loss, the players will just discuss what went wrong and try to not have that go wrong the next time. So I think we came out with solutions and, we figured out what went wrong. So in the future, for the rest of the qualifiers game, we absolutely intend to win all of them without making those same mistakes. So I guess we're okay with our matches so far, but we know we could have done better, and we expect to do better for the rest of the tournament.
That's what I like to hear. I mean, perfection is the goal. And so I want to ask SNA, and I know a lot of people ask about this. I talked to you a little bit when you left the Sneaky Nicks Assassins, and you said no hard feelings, the schedule just wasn't working out, and that you're still really close with the guys. Does that still stand true, or does it feel good to be above them in terms of the stack chart for the scoring in that tournament so far?
We're still friends, like, I know, like, it's for the benefit of the teams, like, I don't want to stay, or, like, if they try to boot me, it was, like, 2 out of 1, so, like, Osh wanted to stay, Flav and Mike doesn't want to stay, so, yeah, but it's a power of friendship. The team, everyone is really nice. I like the people. They're really friendly, but, yeah.
Yeah, they seem like a great group, and I mean, they've been playing very, very well lately, so take nothing away from that. It's been a tough start for them so far. But hey, guys, if you're not watching the Summit Qualifiers, some of the biggest up-and-coming teams in North America and South America are on there. So very, very exciting, and I think it's going to be a really great tournament. But let's move past that, and let's talk about the team's future. You're a new team. Are you together for the long haul? Is this let's win the Summit, or is this let's win TI6 or even TI5?
Our goal now is trying to make it to TI5 qualifiers and get to the main event. So like everyone's like should really trying to in practice together.
No. We want a direct invite to TI5 if you're listening, Valve. That's what we want.
Oh, okay.
So so we have the player's perspective and the manager's perspective.
Yeah.
Now, I assume Nayrok wants the direct invite because that makes being scheduling manager much easier than having to worry about the
I want that
qualifiers.
VIP pass.
You don't want to get stuck in like no man's land, sitting in the uncomfortable seats, or the unreserved booths rather. So that's great to hear. Now, is this something you guys are looking to take to the next level and stick together as 5, moving forward as a team developing, and that's really cool to hear. Now, as far as that goes, let me ask you guys, do you practice a lot? How do you practice? Do you prefer scrimming? Like, what's your system and how much time do you put into prep?
Recently, there wasn't a lot of practice being done because Sna had he's an exam that he just finished. And SN he's still in high school, but after today, Sna is free on the weekdays. So we went from practicing only on the weekends to probably practicing on the weekdays as well now.
Excellent. And what's your practice system? What do you guys prefer? What's your favorite way to sort of get that done?
Players.
Fair enough. Well, I don't know. That's like, do you like to go into mock tournaments or like smaller end tournaments and kind of just do some things with maybe Smurfs? Do you like to play in scrim leagues? Do you have in-houses that you prefer? What is kind of your plan?
I try to get us into any tournaments that are worth like joining. So like we just finished the Dream League qualifiers this weekend. We try to play Sex when we can. Other than that, we just try to scrim higher tier teams, and after that we watch what went wrong, what went right.
Awesome.
Talk about it.
And I did hear that you guys, I believe, just committed to doing the new Sibo season. That's looking like a couple of grand as an invited team. So is that true?
Yep. Helium talked to me. Yeah.
Excellent. So that should be a good one. That one looks like it's developing pretty well. I got to plug it because I work for them, so we had to throw that one out there. So that's good. Let's see. What else do we have for you?
It's important to add that outside of structured practices, these guys all really like Dota a lot, so they play a lot on their own as well. Whether it's hard to get 5 people together at the same time, but it's a lot easier to get 2 or 3. So they'll play some pubs, or they'll study replays, watch replays. For a lot of them, Dota is a large part of their life. So take that with what you will. But there's a lot of practice that goes on, even if you don't think that it's actually practice.
Makes sense. So let me ask this. It's kind of a follow-up question for those viewers out there or listeners who've always kind of wanted to get into competitive Dota but don't know how to break the ice or get through the threshold. We know Sna's recommendation is never stop following your dreams. what about everyone else? What can you guys say to somebody who's thinking about getting into pro Dota or even just competitive level play?
Get Ike's Mike to invite you to NEL.
Okay.
Revive that league. It's the best league out there. Shout out to him.
Yep.
All right, so the moral of the story, guys, if you want to go competitive, suck up to IX Mike. Get on that. Is that what we're taking home with us?
That's it.
Okay, but on a serious note, if you're an aspiring pro player, there's a lot of, NEL is definitely a good tool to get recognized since a lot of pro and semi-pro players will play in it. There are also a lot of open tournaments, qualifiers that you can play for. So like the recent Dream League qualifiers, that was a good chance to play against a lot of the better players in North America. And also, if you want to take the short path, you can make friends with some of the pro players, and they'll let you stand in, and then you'll become famous.
There you go. You pull an Excalibur, if you will. So
we like to call it the MJW.
The MJW. All right, so that's a little team reference there. Let's talk about playstyle and team. First, who is going to be your drafter? Who's drafting for you guys right now?
I believe it's SN. Sometimes it switches depending how people feel.
Oh, okay.
We will try different drafters before, and we start playing together. And at the end, we thought that S has the best draft, so we let him draft. And
Okay.
yeah.
So when you guys draft, is it sort of everybody else just sits back, puts their feet up, and like waits for SN to do the magic, or does everybody sort of talk out the draft with SN as he's going through it?
It's usually me and Les, and Frankie sometimes, and MJW. But most of the time, it's me and Les talk to SN when he drafts.
Excellent. And then like MJW is just there as the talent, right? He doesn't have to
Yeah.
worry about it. Just shows up and plays.
Yep, that's me.
I like it. So how would you describe so far? I know you guys haven't been together that long, but how would you describe your play style at this point? As an example, maybe something like exciting, farm-heavy, frenetic, ganky, rotation-based.
I think MJW's got a good understanding of the game, so why doesn't he answer this question? What is the playstyle of MJW?
What is my playstyle or the team?
No, the team's playstyle.
I think we like to counter gank a lot instead of roaming our supports, and we like to have a gank in offlane, a do something mid and a farm carry bottom.
Okay, so you like to do you let them try to set the pace and then like to take that out from under them or kind of yank the rug out?
Yeah, counter gank them and like try to counter gank them, push a tower and stuff like that.
Interesting. I like that. So here's my next question for you. And there's been a lot of discussion about the value of the tier 1 towers early in the game. Are you of the opinion that you should knock those things down and get that gold pretty quickly, or just leave them up as long as you can to keep yourself having that gold advantage so that you get a bigger AoE benefit on kills that do come?
I think if the opportunity comes to us, like if we get a good gank off and the tower's right there, we would go take the tower down.
Okay. So you'll take a tower if it's available to you. There's no kind of tower ignoring or anything of that sort. Awesome. So to move away from playstyle just a little bit, who is, I think you said, I was going to ask who's the youngest and oldest, but I think youngest, it sounds like, is SN, who's a 17-year-old in high school. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so there's no 14-year-olds on the team.
No.
Unfortunately. I'm just kidding.
We laugh about that, but Hot Hands, who is in ESL qualifiers, has a 14-year-old who plays ridiculously well, and I was blown out of the water to find out that he was 14. So I always ask now just to find out. Who's the old man on the team?
Is that you, MJW? Is that, I don't even know.
I don't even know.
Yeah.
How old are you, MJW?
21.
Oh, I think it's Frankie then. Frankie's like 22, right?
Wow.
21 too.
That's you know, it's not till I do interviews with up-and-coming teams that I realize just how old I am. So thank you guys for reminding me that I am the ancient man in the game of Dota at a young, robust 31. So, ouch. that's rough, man. All right, so let's move past that. You guys said you practice regular, you do it a lot. What is the big plan? Where are we going? Like, if I sat down, like we were in a job interview, and I said, Infinity +4, what's your 5-year plan? What would you tell me?
I don't think it's reasonable to make a 5-year plan for Dota,
Fair.
just because that's a long time. But I think the biggest goal in mind for all of us is to make it to TI 5, and along the way, hopefully win some tournaments and become one of the best teams in North America.
I like it. So TI 5 is the immediate goal, and then hopefully a great performance at TI 5 moving forward into a top team in North America. And do you think... So we've got some good teams in North America right now, and I want to preface this by saying that, I mean, a year or two ago, it wasn't what it is in terms of North American representation on the international Dota 2 scene. Do you guys see yourself in that upper echelon, really fighting with EG for the top of the North American position? Where do you, when we roll into TI 5, where do you rank your team on the echelon of North American teams? Be brutal. Be honest.
Honestly, I think in terms of individual skill, everyone on our team is, pretty much on par with some of the best teams. Like, individual skill is very different from being part of a successful team. So I think the teamwork still has some work to do. But overall, I wouldn't see like anyone on our team losing their lane too devastatingly to anyone from, for example, EG or Navi US. So we've got the base down, and we just have to work harder.
I like that. So that's good. So you see yourself basically, if you can win on an individual basis, then all you need is the team synergy. Do you think the team synergy is going to be one of the most important things going forward, or what's going to set your team apart from everybody else competing for those top spots?
That's a tough question.
Well, that's why they come to me. Toffees full of the tough questions, looking for the hard